When we took the oath to become nurses and recited the Nightingale Pledge, we swore to maintain and elevate the standards of our profession and to devote ourselves to the welfare of those committed to our care. Although we were always trained to handle difficult cases, including caring for patients with infectious diseases, we were completely overwhelmed when the COVID-19 pandemic came. No one thought that in this day and age we'd live during a pandemic and witness its horrors. We were called to serve, and we obliged, like pawns on a chessboard, manning the front lines. Medical ICU 1 suddenly became the COVID ICU. Everyone was confused on what to do. Fear and anxiety took over all of us. No one wants to get infected. We will never forget the first time we ever set foot in the COVID ICU. Everyone was wearing protective gear from head to foot. We were all required to wear N95 masks all the time, and some familiar faces were harder to recognize. But we made it work. We wrote our names on the backs of our coveralls so our fellow nurses and doctors can recognize us. The greatest struggle is the heat. It's no joke being under all that layers of PPE. Most of us change our scrubs after being inside the patient's room for too long, and sometimes we do it more than once. Then Metro Manila was placed on a lockdown, essential services only. Even public transportation was halted. The question then was, how will I get to work without public transport? But there's always a way. PHC provided a shuttle service for the employees. Others carpooled. Some took out their trusty bicycle out of their garage to bike to work, and most of us walked. The next struggle is where to stay during the lockdown. Most of us live with our families, and we do not want them contracting the virus, so we isolated ourselves from them. Most nurses rented small apartments near the hospital just to be able to get to work. Some stayed on temporary quarantine beds provided by PHC. Since the hospital is not on full capacity, other ICU nurses were tapped to help out our unit. We are thankful for them, and we would have never kept up with this fight without their help. They became our family and support systems. To keep boredom and missing our families at bay, we do activities together while still practicing safety protocols. But you can never be too careful. Our nurses and staff were not spared from contracting the virus. There were a few who were admitted, even in the ICU. Most of them have mild symptoms, but the same thought kept running through their minds. Can I make it out of here alive? They were the ones who attended and cared for healthcare workers who succumbed to COVID-19, so they know what will happen if the illness progresses. Thankfully, they recovered. And here we are, almost a year later, still fighting this invisible war. It is innate for us nurses to respond to crisis while still providing compassionate, patient-centered care. It is our teamwork, camaraderie, and our commitment to our pledge that makes us withstand any challenge that comes our way. Like Florence Nightingale, we will continue to carry the lamp, keep it burning, and eventually, with God's grace, win this fight.